Hello.
Hi.
I feel like we always get here at the same time. It's so funny.
Yeah.
We can read each other's minds.
Yes. We're too good.
We are.
Okay, there.
How was school? I always sleep until like 12 when you guys have already had like a full day of learning.
Really?
So yeah, it's so funny.
It's interesting,
Yeah.
the whole shebang. Yes. So the guidance department is not going to be here until
Oh, is it all
1:30.
of them?
It's all of them. They have a meeting, apparently. Mr. Robinson emailed me this morning asking if we could change the time, and I was like, no.
No. Yeah, that's okay.
I was like, just hop on whenever.
Yeah, it
So
works.
if they're done earlier, they'll be here.
Sweet. Yeah, I thought it was Mr. Robinson, which would have been great.
No, it's all of them. I think it's all of them. It'll be interesting.
Sweet. Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
lot of pressure. I think that they're impressed and we're very lucky to have them.
Yeah.
They're like so on board with it. So it's good.
Yes. Yeah, and Catherine emailed me like this week. It must have been this week. I don't even know.
They all blend together. It's okay.
Yeah. I want to go through it with you and Anthony because she mentioned something about the youth risk behavior survey.
Okay.
And how that's going out in April, and they don't want it to be like two really long surveys.
Right.
I don't think ours is like that long.
No,
but we might just want to go through it and see if we can like condense.
Right. It's definitely not as long as the risk behavior survey. That one's pretty long. I mean, as it should be. I think that one's really important, but
yes. Yeah. And then it looks like the meeting with Anne is gonna be Wednesday, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
We need to look.
Oh yeah, because we've tried. So then if we have it, hi Anthony. If we have it on Wednesday, then that is 3 youth council meetings in a row.
In a day?
Very exciting. No, just like Wednesday will be with Anne, and then Thursday is the focus group, and then Friday is like the council. It's very exciting.
The whole shebang. I forgot to write the focus group time down, actually. That's why I was confused.
I think it's at 3.
It's at 3, yeah.
Thank you for organizing that. I'm very excited.
You're welcome. No problem. Okay. Anthony, the guidance counselors aren't going to be here until like 1:30. They have a meeting, so I don't remember if I told you guys the exact time. Okay, so we're just going to start now. It is 1:01 p.m. and I'm calling this meeting of the Youth Council Communications Outreach Subcommittee to order. The first thing on our agenda is public comments, and I do not see anyone from the public here. Just a second, let me find the actual agenda.
I know, I feel like we have like the whole order of everything memorized.
Yeah. Okay. So the next item on our agenda is the discussion with the guidance department. Obviously, we can't do that right now. So what I wanted to do is just kind of go through the survey with you guys and see if we can condense things, because Catherine was talking to me and it sounds like she's looking for us to maybe shorten it a little bit, just because the youth risk behavior survey is also very long. We know how long that takes, and chances are it'll be administered during school. So we don't want one to be affected by the other. We especially don't want to mess with the results of the risk behavior survey, because that's so important. So I'm just gonna share my screen. I know you guys can see why is it not working? Just a second. There we go. Okay. Can you guys see that? Okay. So this is basically what we have. It hasn't really changed much from what I sent you guys before. So I guess we can just kind of go through it and see if there's anything we want to change. Feel free to jump in at any point. So everything is optional. I did not make anything required. And I think I put, if people don't feel comfortable, they can leave a blank in every section. So this is the one with people, or at least targeted at people who are in hybrid or fully in-person learning. So we just have the age question and then just the pandemic in general. It's not the right view. You can't see it. Okay. Okay. Yes. We have a lot of check boxes. It took a little bit to put them together, but
I can't even imagine how long this took you to make. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you so much. This is like very, very detailed and just amazing.
Yeah, so if there's anything you want to see me like replace something with or you think could be worded better, please tell me. So just to make it easier for people to understand kind of thing. We have this. Oh, I need to go through and put periods on these, don't I? Lovely. And then there's more. And then that's that whole checkbox.
So is this, I didn't read the top of it. Is this for before
the pandemic?
Or like during?
Yeah, it's about people's experience during the pandemic. So this is like much less or more than before.
Oh, okay. I see. So it's like we probably want to like gauge a little bit of a baseline, but that's perfect. Because then it's
because I don't want to be like, how many times a week this, and that, and like make people feel bad, and then on top of that ask like more or less than before.
Right. Yeah, no, it's perfect.
And
so I'm looking I'm sorry. I'm looking through the first page right now. It's like I love it so much. And there's that one question after like all the check boxes that says like, have you had to take on more responsibilities because of the pandemic, doing more work around the house, taking care of siblings, family, getting a job, etc. I don't know if we should possibly just like kind of morph that into that last checkpoint with check mark area, which says I take care of family responsibilities and chores like cleaning, yard work, taking care of brothers and sisters. I know you said you want to condense things, so I just...
Yeah. Do you guys think that would work better as a checkbox with like the much less and much more?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's fine as a separate question, but if we do want to like focus on condensing it, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. So there we go. Okay. And then I kind of tried to like bridge it into, I think the next section was like the specifically mental health one. Mm-hmm. Just kind of like stress and anxiety levels, if people have been able to maintain relationships with others, because obviously that's a huge part of like staying like mentally healthy. You want to like communicate with people. You want to be able to have people you can reach out to if you're having a hard time. So there's just a couple questions about that.
Is this section separate from the checkbox ones?
No. Okay. I tried to do like as few like sections as possible.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
If it wouldn't make a difference, I would have like 10 sections of two questions each.
Right.
So
yeah.
I was just trying to.
Okay. So for the one before, have you stayed in contact? Do you mind just scrolling up? Do we want to put that as a checkbox since the beginning of the pandemic? Or would it doesn't matter. I'm just saying.
I feel like the wording was just different.
Yeah, that's what
I can't be like stress levels were much more than before.
Right.
It's like I thought it would just be more streamlined, kind of understandable that way.
Yeah, it has a great flow to it.
Okay. Yeah, and the checkboxes were getting kind of long, and it was kind of like, I didn't want to overwhelm people with like 20-row boxes.
The last thing we want is to cause more stress for this. So
yes.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, so that's like the pandemic experience one. And then, yes, this one was the mental health section. So we have like how much people worry about all that kind of stuff. Just kind of the basic things, school, friends, like appearance, health issues. I think this one is going to be really important. I was thinking about, do you think we should add a question on like how safe do you feel? I might have done that. I don't know. It might be in here somewhere.
Do you mean safe in terms of the pandemic itself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say, I think we talked about before how it could get a little tricky.
Yeah.
If you talked about like safety with yourself or with your family. So yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be an important question.
Yeah. I think I might have it in here somewhere. I feel like it's in a later section, but yes. And then this was one I took from the survey Catherine sent us. Just because like we asked people about their stress levels before, like in terms of the pandemic, like is it more or less? But I think this one is just a good one to, put in there, see if out of the people, like of people who have seen an increase, how much, like if it's like to that extent where we bring something to the administration and guidance and say like this is a growing problem. There are a lot of students that could benefit from support, like something needs to be done.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about the wording. Sorry, Calvin's like going crazy. He always does whenever I talk during these meetings. But during the past 30 days, would we want to keep that? I have no problem with keeping it. Or would we want to do like since the pandemic started? Just because if we're going to send it out, maybe next week, I'm not sure like what the timeline's going to be, but just with everything in the government happening, like that might influence people's answers, like, and that's totally fine. But just where we might want it to be more pandemic focused, we might want to change it. Okay. But whatever works.
So would you want to do something like, I just feel like if we do the whole pandemic, it would be so broad because it's like almost a year now. It's like insane to think about.
Yeah, that's
so
the only thing. Yeah, we can.
So somebody could. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because I don't want somebody to be like, oh yeah, 2 weeks like at the beginning of April last year, and then have us thinking that like these, like the students need help now, or need help is a very bad way to put it. Like need support. That is what I meant to say. Because I think there's just a very wide range of people might have been stressed at the beginning, but now they're like, okay, like I kind of know how to deal with it now, that kind of thing. And then we have the support adults, trusted adults question, if you'd like to consider it that. This one I thought would be good to put on there to see if people are like reaching out to people and are getting the support they need, whether it's in terms of school, like school administration, outside, like just a therapist they go to, or medication, which obviously coincides with therapist, but very different. Yes, no. Okay. And then obviously we have the grade question, if they're in person, online, or hybrid. Obviously this is directed towards people who aren't online, but if they end up in this one, they can just click online. Oh, it is there. Okay. There we go. I did put it in. I put the question Miss Burns suggested that we put in the single greatest challenge. And just kind of like if people feel supported or not, and then what could be done if they feel like they're not being supported enough. And then if they feel safe in school related to coronavirus. And then obviously a spot to put what could be done to help them feel safer if they don't feel safe as is. And then the sleep question. All that fun stuff. And the next section is if people had to quarantine. I thought that was very important because I've heard from a few people that it's a little rough quarantining with communication and stuff sometimes.
Just going back to the last section, I'm sorry, I'm being like so nitpicky, but
okay.
Would we want to move, can he not? Would we want to move the question about what grade you're in to the beginning when we ask about your age?
Okay. I had it there originally.
Okay.
But then I wasn't sure what grade this was going to. Because I know I did it with the high schoolers in mind, and then we talked about maybe sending into the 7th and 8th graders at the same time. So I can, yes. Okay.
Or we could even add more option and just say like 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, and then what we have. Yeah. Whatever you think.
I really just tried to edit it on the view. Definitely know. I know how this works. Yeah, because I think I don't think it's overly ambitious to give this to 7th graders and 8th graders, and I think we could get some good responses from them and hopefully contact their administration as well. So we're moving this to the first one.
Right, and especially with the 8th graders, just where school, even at the beginning of the year, it might look the same as it does now or some kind of variation. And that will probably be the easiest time to kind of tweak things to make people feel more supported and stuff. So I think it would be good if we sent it to 7th and 8th grade, or even just 8th grade.
I'm sorry, this is moving at snail speed. Okay. There we go. Success. Okay. We are almost to the end. There we go. So this one was just fairly simple. Just if people felt like they wanted to answer this one and they said no, I was just go ahead and hit submit. And this is just as a whole, how did people feel supported, academically, emotionally, all together, just their whole quarantine experience? That makes it sound better than it probably is, but and then teachers communicating about materials, if people were reached out to, if you need support, you can contact me, all that kind of stuff, and if things would have been beneficial that they didn't get. So that's it.
It looks amazing. I'm very proud of the work that you did.
Well, thank you. I'm gonna stop sharing now. So if we decide to edit it, then obviously I'll have to go back, but
I'm gonna turn my camera off and run upstairs and see what Calvin is freaking out about. So I'll be right back.
Okay.
I think this looks really, really good though. Thank you so much for putting this together.
Yeah.
Honestly, other than what I said about the similarity in that last checkbox question and the question afterwards, other than that, I literally did not see a single comment I can make, other than it's really, really great.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you think it's put together well. I hope.
For sure. And I think the fact that it's optional and most of the questions are multiple choice, I think people won't be dissuaded from not taking it.
Yeah, I didn't want to be write a whole paragraph about this part.
I know.
And then give me another paragraph.
Every time I see a survey that's just 10 short answer responses, I don't really want to take, they're oh, it'll be just 5 minutes. I'm no, it's 10, 15 minutes at least.
And yeah. Yeah, that, and like especially if we're gonna have it done during advisory or whatever.
Yeah.
That would be quite iffy. Yes. Look at that. Done with time to spare.
Wonderful.
Yes. Anything you want to put on the agenda?
I don't believe so. Hopefully,
All right.
I wanted to give a little bit more time for the newsletter just so that like, because I was in contact with Jennifer about maybe like adding a little bit more like template details or like formatting to it. So this weekend I think for sure it will be sent out, which is great. But yeah, thank you so much for the feedback about that. That was great.
Anthony, you are like literally so talented with writing everything. Like when I read that, it sounds like you sound like the poet who spoke at the inauguration. Like when you write, it is so put together, and just like the words that you use, like it is amazing. We are very lucky.
Thank you.
I'm hoping over the weekend to do what Jen suggested and try to find youth councils to like their Facebook pages with ours. And then maybe find some of those filler articles.
Yeah. I met with Emanuela the other day, and she gave me a couple of like Instagram pages to follow, and yeah. But I'm still trying to figure out what we should do for filler content, because I do not want to accidentally get political. That would be bad. So I'm still trying to figure out what to do in the meantime. Oh, Anthony, since you're here, would you, like, obviously it would have probably get approved by like Catherine or somebody at like the end of our terms or whatever, would you want to do like a senior kind of like a going to this college thing? I don't know. It was just a thought because I've seen stuff like that before.
Like how, like at the high school, you do like May 1st, like decision day, like something similar to that.
Yeah, because I mean, like we'll know, and I think it'd be
Yeah.
kind of cute to be like, look.
And I mean, at that point, like we could do like maybe some outdoor thing, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that could definitely work.
Yeah, I hope we can meet like in person soon.
Yeah. At least once.
Some good content.
Before a term.
Yeah, especially where like all the seniors, like you're obviously not going to be here next year. That makes me so sad. We're going to miss you guys.
Man, if y'all on Zoom, I'll pop in.
Yeah. Oh my God. We can add you guys to the agenda sometime.
College updates from Anthony, Alyssa, and Jack.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Anything you want to add to the agenda, Lauren?
I don't think so. I think I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we're just here then.
Any new updates on your college decisions or anything of that sort?
No, I got into Salve Regina back in December.
Congrats.
But thank you. But that is the most recent one I've had. I have to wait until March now.
I feel that I have one decision Villanova, and like it's next Friday, and then after that I have to wait until March. It's like, so.
I think Mrs. McLeod went there actually.
Yeah, she did.
She has like a bunch of stickers like around her.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I guess very smart and intelligent people go there then and get accepted. So.
What's your top school, Anthony?
I would say it's unrealistic, but Vanderbilt. If I could get in and if I can afford it.
You can get in. Are you kidding me? Of
course
you can. I have so much faith in you.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I got to walk around a little bit when I was down in Nashville, and it was a nice campus.
Yeah, I went to Nashville. This was like 4 years ago, but I really liked it. And when I really started to got to know, it sounds weird, but there's this college YouTuber who goes to Vanderbilt, and like that's how I got to like really like be like, oh, like this is like a school I could see myself at.
Hey.
Hello.
Sorry about that. It was just 23 minutes late to a meeting, you know.
No, don't worry about it.
We just set an example,
right? To talk before, so.
Yeah.
What's that?
So we needed the time to talk before.
All right. Well, if I'm interrupting a conversation, I can jump out and back in if you want.
No, we're
You're
done
all
with
good.
that by now. Yeah.
All right. How we doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah. Doing all right. It's, yeah, we've had a lot of meetings lately, and obviously almost every time it comes up, just mental health issues for everybody. That's no one's immune to it, right? I mean, it's really, really concerning. So we're trying to do whatever we can. And I think a couple of the counselors are going to join us. I think they're going to jump on in about 5 minutes or so. But I figured I'd get on here and see if you're already here, or assume you're already here, but start talking. So yeah, whatever you want. If you have an ideas of how you want to talk about this, review it, or whatever, I'm open to anything you want to do.
Well, first, I was just kind of wondering if you had any suggestions, like alterations you'd want me to make to the survey, because we just went through and condensed a couple questions just because we don't want it to be, yeah, just now.
Because I have the printout of what it was. So yes, okay.
I can share my screen if you want me to.
Yeah, I have the server. I old-fashioned printed it out so I can follow along here. And
yeah,
if I just...
yeah. So basically what we did is we just condensed a few questions. Let me get back to the beginning before I start sharing.
First of all, it's amazing, by the way, before you even get into details. I love it. You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Where did the thoughts come from to make these questions? Like, was there other samples, or was it just you just sat and thought what would be good to go with? Or
we kind of already had an idea of what kind of questions we wanted to ask, but Catherine did send us a sample that I took some questions directly from, and then other ones I just kind of took the concept and worded it a little different, or just put a different spin on it.
All right, awesome.
Yeah,
it's great.
Thank you.
No worries. You don't have to. I mean, I have at least. Oh, there you go.
So we took the age question and the grade question, excuse me, and we put it right at the beginning. So this one, we're also thinking about getting into contact with the Galvin administration to see if we can get it to their 7th and 8th graders there as well, because we do have middle school members on the council, and we're thinking about working with them on a different one for the younger grades too, potentially. Okay. And then this is basically the same. Actually, it's all the way the same, and we just took out a question here that was a little bit redundant of this checkbox. Yes. So basically, it's all the same, just a few little wording changes. That whole checkbox was the same. And this whole section we did not change. Yeah, that was basically it. Actually, I thought we did.
Yeah.
Yes, that was it. So that's obviously directed at the hybrid students and students who might be all the way in person, and we do have a separate version that's for the online students. And it's essentially the same thing. I don't know if you got a chance to look at them.
You know, I didn't go on that one. You mentioned, I don't know why, because I was just so focused on the hybrid one. I forgot to go back and click on the link for the remote.
Yeah, no worries. It's essentially the same thing, except the questions in the academic section and the support section are a little more tailored to what they're doing in terms of just like teacher availability and stuff, because obviously they're not teaching in person with like PM learning blocks on Zoom. It's all on Zoom and that kind of thing. So it was just a little more specified there. But
and I'm actually
the only difference.
Really interested in learning more, to hear what they have to say, because you know, it's a whole nother level. I know we're not in here a lot, but at least when we're in here, we're having an interaction. You have a little bit of FaceTime. You have a little bit of somewhat normalcy of like getting into the building and going to the classroom. So it's a lot. If you imagine just 100% being home and not having that, even if it's just a little bit, that's going to be rough, I'm sure, you know? So it'll be interesting to see what kind of concerns they have compared to the hybrid students.
Yes.
So, I mean, when you'd ask any for recommendations, I wouldn't take anything out whatsoever. I think that every question was worthy of wanting to know what the answers would be. And a lot of times the surveys, you can kind of see a few like, okay, we don't really need to know that, you know, and whatever, but I didn't get that sense at all. It was really concise. So I would have no suggestions to take any of that out. I guess as a counselor in the department that I'm in, wanting to make sure that they know where to go if they do need help. So it's not really I guess that's not really a question, it's so much to make sure they have that information. But you did have the questions about, do they have somebody to go to, which is huge. Like, do they have an adult? That could be a lot of different types of people. So that was great. Is there, I'm just trying to think, how can we get out the information of, do they know where to go for help?
Like as a question, or as just like
it's weird because it's a combination, right? It's, do they know, and then so we can get a sense of it. If they all feel, yeah, they're all great, or is it something where most of them are going to say, no, I don't really actually know where I would go.
Okay.
But I was also,
I think there's the option for when you hit submit. I can see if I can add something after that. Because like, how some forms or whatever will have like a thank you for submitting, here's a little blip of information. I can try and see if I can get one of those on there. I'm not sure how they work, but I can work on that.
That'd be awesome, because what I was thinking too is, depending on, and it's a whole nother conversation, how are you planning on conducting this, and when and where and how and all that good stuff. But try to think of if the teachers could follow up to whenever it is done, to tell the students, hey, you just took that survey, just as a follow-up, and we could give them the information to share with their, maybe advisory in the morning periods, and just say, hey, just so you know, these are the things that we can, you can go to. I think internally the key is just getting to whatever trusted adult, because I think internally, once we know there's a trusted adult aware of it, we all know how to touch with each other to address it, right? So
yeah, I think that's a really good point, because I feel like kind of what we're doing is not only gauging information, but also letting people know that we know that this is important, and that we're trying to take action. This is just our first step. And what you said about teachers kind of talking about it a little bit, I think that makes a big difference between us just saying that, oh, they're there for us, and someone actually saying that face to face or over a Zoom call. So I think that would be important to, however we administer the survey, to be able to have that interaction.
Hey, Ms. McKenna, Ms. Healy.
Hello.
I just jumped in a few minutes early, just to say. Actually, earlier than you, still. I guess I shouldn't have called myself early today. I didn't show up at 1. So we were just going over the survey, and if they asked we had any recommendations, and all I basically said was, I don't have anything I would take out. I think everything was worthy of finding out, learning about from the students. And my concern was just to make sure that students felt comfortable or knew where to go if they do need help. And that's pretty much.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much, guys, for doing this. I read the survey and I think it's fantastic. You guys did a wonderful job, and I really appreciate it. I'm sure my colleagues do here too, your efforts. And like I said, it came out really, really well. Good job.
It must have taken quite a bit of time.
Alyssa did a lot of the legwork for us.
Yes.
So
Alyssa was,
a lot of the credit.
She was at the forefront of it all.
So as far as, I guess I'm kind of jumping around, but as far as administration, how were you thinking of laying this out or getting this out to students? And
we had mentioned possibly having an advisory period used for it, because I know it depends on what class people are in, what their teachers choose to do with that time. But I do know a lot of people, it's kind of ASC like, so there is that time, if we think it can be administered like effectively in those 20 or so minutes, 25 minutes, which I personally think it's pretty reasonable to put in that time span. But if not, we can definitely work something else out. And that way there's teachers there for clarification if needed. There's teachers there who can support their students if like they start getting overwhelmed while they're taking it and something like that. And if they need like a counselor or somebody there, like Ms. Burns is in the building, you guys are in the building, and they can take a walk down to someone's office if they need to talk about something or want someone with them as they take the survey. So we just thought it was really important to make sure it wasn't a here, take this at home type of thing, just because of the nature of it.
Yeah, I think that's a great time to do it, definitely, because it can even run into that class. I don't think it's going to be a lot of time running into that first block anyway, after advisory. But I think it is important that counselors, that we all spread out, even the school psychologists. I think there'll be probably six of us with everybody included. We should all spread out while this is going on and be checking into all of the homerooms during that time.
Yeah, I think we can get, it's a great idea to do it during advisory because one, it is a time where you're in the building. It is technically like a 20-minute block where it's meant for that checking in, right? So it's actually exactly what that time of day is meant to do. So you're not really invading any of your instructional time. Looking at the survey, I don't think it would take more than 20 minutes. I mean, if you jumped in and started clicking away and answering those questions, I would think that, you know, if we send out emails to the staff, I know that this is on the top mind of all staff's minds right now. So this isn't, you know, asking everybody what the favorite color is. I mean, this is all really serious, helpful, important, pertinent information right now. So I know that the staff's gonna be more than well on board with this. And if it goes a few minutes into that, whatever period you're in, whatever block you're in, I don't see that being an issue. And really good for you for realizing that is a concern to be aware of when you do surveys like this, that it potentially could trigger certain things in people, right? And so to do that in school so that people can visibly see if anything's going on. Even more reason to do it in the morning. You don't want to do things like that at, you know, 1:45 till the 2:05 bell and say, okay, see you later and leave them. So even more important to put it in the morning like that. Thinking along those lines, maybe, so I was trying to think of one thing is that this is anonymous, right?
Yeah, it's completely anonymous and all the questions are optional as well.
So that's going to get probably the honesty, right? People can be a little more open and honest if they know it's not going to be tied to them. I would love to have an ability for the students to say, hey, you know what? Actually, I wouldn't mind someone checking in with me. You know what I mean? Okay. So they wouldn't be able to do that typically right on the survey because it's anonymous. But what are your thoughts on how we could do that? I mean, would it be, hey, like an exit ticket on the way out? If you do it in advisory, teachers could say, hey, fill this thing out, you know, check yes or no. That way it's not like, okay, if I'm handing her one or him one, that means they said yes and they need help. But if it just was a quick yes or no, so everybody passed one in, no one knows. That way the teachers could maybe assess quickly if they can quickly indicate like how, if they want.
Then we would need to know who the student is if they need help. That's
what I mean. Like that part, if it's a piece, they could actually put their names on those. Whereas survey,
it has to be a name. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that. Go ahead, Lauren.
You can make a separate Google form too. Just so it's like it might be a little less, you know. Oh, I can, you know, look and see what they checked. It's a little more discreet that way, I think. Okay. And then one other thought I had just about the support while taking the survey, what we would do. So this is going out to all students, even though it's geared more towards hybrid. What do we think that should look like for fully remote students? Like, do they have that advisory period? Should we put a letter out to parents? I'm just wondering how, you know, we could support that.
One of my concerns is with the fully remote students is they don't have potentially the support system. And if they're taking this survey and there is a trigger and there's nobody home, you know, that could be very challenging for the student. And it could create a potentially a seismic reaction. Mm-hmm. So that's a big concern.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what we could do with that. As far as, would students be able to do it in their, and see, not all students are in a live class. Some kids are online for that first block of the day, but I'm just thinking if a remote teacher did that and could see who is actually in the room and somehow only give it to those and you're right. It is a concern. So I'm trying to think how do you get around that? Thoughts on that anymore?
I mean, one thought I had was maybe we just do the survey to fully hybrid students. But I know a lot of our concern is about the isolation that fully remote students are facing. And, you know, if we kept it all into one survey for all types of students, you know, guidance counselors couldn't pop into certain Zooms and see how people were doing. So yeah, I'm not really sure, you know, the right way to go about it.
Do the remote students, like, do they have kind of an advisory type block, or is it just depending on what classes they're taking?
Yeah, they don't really have an advisor like the hybrid does.
Okay.
You know, their whatever blocks they be, what A and D blocks, teachers may spend a little time, but it's not so much that 20-minute structured, you got to be in the room kind of thing right then and there.
Okay.
Doesn't mean we couldn't promote this and advertise this as kind of an exception for anything. Like, hey, today we're going to start and do XYZ from this time slot, you know, if we give enough heads up.
I'm not sure if the fully remote students have like, I don't know if they have like Google Classroom pages, but if they do, maybe we could just post the surveys directly onto those pages so they see them right there. And almost maybe not how like put a due date on it, of course, but maybe like post it as like an optional assignment for them to complete to make it seem more encouraging to take.
Mm-hmm.
I still, even if that was what ends up happening, I don't think it's a very good idea personally to really put out that option of here, take it, like, unless there's class time allocated for it and then somebody decides they want to take it after the fact. I think there needs to be that kind of, whether it's on Zoom or somehow in person, there needs to be somebody who's able to be there to like support somehow, or try and like see if, like, make sure people are okay.
I mean, the teachers could, I agree. And if there's some way they could make sure they're taking it, you know, during that class time, almost not shutting it off, but only turning it on and off. And here's my lack of technology coming out here. Is there a way to turn it on and off? I think there is.
Yeah.
Like during that class time, so you know they're not going to do it before or after, and then you can see, the teachers can kind of check in, like, hey, everybody do that, you know, and if somebody was not, that didn't submit it, if there's a different, you know what I mean, like we could follow up, I guess.
Yeah, like I could have it turned on for accepting responses for only like a specific day or something, and then I could just turn it off at the end of the day, and if it does need to be turned back on, then obviously I can do that. But I'm not sure if there's a way to like set specific times or anything other than have me like on the forum click on, click off. Yeah.
One of the things that we could do is we could send the survey to the teachers, and the teachers could post it in the chat. And so only the students that are in the classroom at that time would be the ones getting it, as opposed to, you know, sending it out to all of the students. And that way they've got some supervision. They've got somebody there to be able to kind of reach out to if they need to. Then there's other difficulties with that, because if there is a student in crisis, we need to know about it. And so now they have to get in touch with the school, and then we have to leave the school and get in touch with the home. But, you know, it wouldn't be that they could do it on their own. They would only do it in the classroom because the teacher would post it in the chat.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I feel like the more controlled, the better. But, you know, I think we still have to worry about safety and, you know, what happens after they submit the survey. I think that's equally as important as how they're feeling when they take it.
Right. And that could be looked at as, you know, the remote teachers we could make a point of the beginning of every class, even if not just the first block, but like, you know, every block from that survey on would be, you know, a teacher check-in and a reminder Not so much, because it's hard to check in and talk one-on-one when you have a whole class, but to acknowledge that, hey, we know you took the survey, it was important, but if you're feeling this, we really need you to, to kind of remind them to reach out. Plus the piece we talked about, you said, let the parents know. Technically, I mean, we could, encourage the parents to talk to the kids about it, the children after they've done it. So maybe that's not foolproof, but I mean, the more things we get out there to, like, hey, parents, they're taking it right this day, this time, follow up with them. Teachers check in with them every period, make sure they're okay. Counselors could kind of maybe check in with a quick. So I think if we put enough things together, I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a good idea to involve parents, because like they might know that their kid or their student has like a certain trigger that might like happen, so they could be at home, or they could contact the teacher and say, like, can you please like not have my kid take this, like I'm worried for what their reaction might be, kind of thing. So I do think it's important to involve the parents, especially in like making sure the fully remote kids are supported.
I agree, Alyssa. Definitely we have to let the parents know with the remote kids especially.
Yeah.
So as far as the overall, like going back to even the hybrid students, I think the advisory makes a lot of sense. As far as the follow-up with, for kids who want someone to check in with them, that is a second Google form. Lauren, you mentioned doing that. Is that, as a student, is that feasible? Is that something that you would, if you did want someone to reach out to you and check in with you, would that be something that you'd just click on and feel comfortable doing that? Or is there a different way to ask kids or encourage kids to reach out if they want someone to touch base?
I think the Google form, it would probably be the most confidential in a way, other than, we can shift it to see who can see the responses. Like maybe Mr. Robinson, it goes to you, or it goes to all of the guidance counselors rather than Alyssa or one of our members. Just where I feel like, a piece of paper, kids might worry about, oh, well, I don't want to reach out for help because I don't know who's going to see that.
Yeah.
And in the Google form, we can say this response is going to go directly to all guidance counselors or Mr. Robertson or one of the assistant principals. That just might make it a little bit more approachable.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I don't think those answers should be coming to us, regardless of how we would treat them. I don't think that would go well.
Confidentiality and everything else.
No, that's good though, to have that second. That's a good idea. I was trying to think, how do you do that? Because you want the survey to be anonymous for the answers, but yet you don't want an anonymous, I need some help, please. You don't want that to be anonymous. So you got to figure out a way to make sure that there's two different versions of that. So, all right. I think do you think that would be helpful?
Yeah, I definitely think it would be helpful. I'm not sure, like, if I make a form, I don't know if I can make it so I can't see the responses. So I don't know if that's something
we could create something. I think just put
two
different links together. I think like your link would be to the, whatever we sent this out on, I'm sure we can just kind of send it out both, and our link would just come to us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I don't think that would be very long. Just kind of like a 2 or 3 question.
Yeah.
Maybe just like name and like maybe just 1 or 2 questions about like briefly explaining why you may be searching for help, or at least make those optional, but maybe like provide an opportunity for them to explain.
Right. That's a good thing, because I've seen before too, is it's reach out for help like immediately. I'm really struggling. When someone gets a chance in the next few days, or no, I'm fine. At least they get that way. We can kind of like assess, okay, this is someone we need to call down before they go home, or all right, they're struggling, but they're okay immediately, but they wouldn't mind a follow-up in a couple of days. So maybe giving them the choice of checking off what level they're at the time.
I know at the beginning of the year, I know at least my grade took it. I assume it's every grade. We took a survey directly from the guidance department about, what we think our biggest struggle is going to be, that kind of stuff going into the year. Were those, and then we were asked if we wanted support, what type, with who. Were those responses good, I guess? Like, did you get a lot of people reaching out, and was that kind of followed through with?
I think in councils you can jump in, but I think we had, I want to say maybe up to 20 students or 15 students or so that requested a check-in. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think great question, Lauren, in terms of like what was the end result of that survey that we all took. Mrs. Burns was also involved in sort of the implementation and distribution of that survey and then collection of data. And so she helped sort based on priority and what a student identified as, I need help immediately, I'd like a check-in, but not urgently, or I'm all set, don't bother me. And then by counselor, we did sort of a check-in that way. And some of them actually resulted in referrals to Mrs. Burns as a school adjustment counselor. So I don't know if it caught and created a lot of referrals, but there were definitely at least a handful, a couple of students who we didn't have on our radar and became referrals. So that was
good
success, I suppose.
Yeah, that's good to hear, because I feel like asking a second time really shows that, you know, we care, and we know that the pandemic, like, obviously it's evolving, and I feel like especially now where students have experienced what it's like in school, and how the academics are, you know, different this year, I think telling them that there is support that they can access, you know, will spread some peace of mind throughout everyone.
True. And I think the fact that Mrs. Burns's role is still relatively new is something like our whole school culture is shifting to adjust to, and for students to realize like, oh, I could self-refer. I could go up to the history floor and see Mrs. Burns.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
Yes.
One other thing about the Google form, it sounds like I'm obsessed with it. I promise I'm not. I'm just excited. So would we want to have options of, I'd like to meet with my guidance counselor, you know, assistant principal, or another teacher? Because I know that some people might feel more comfortable reaching out to a teacher, no offense, rather than a guidance counselor. And, you know, I know you won't be offended because we want what's best with everyone. But, you know, does that seem reasonable for us to ask, or would we want it just to go through guidance?
Dave, I'm going to refer to you with that answer.
Well, I was just thinking that it would be great for them to have the option of saying who they'd like to reach out to, but not having the results go to everybody. So like the results could come to us, but they may not say, I want my guidance counselor. They say, I want my science teacher or so-and-so. So we would see that, but then we would immediately say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, so the student wants to check in with them. So the results of the answers would come through us, but then depending on what they were seeking, we would connect to that person, whether it be a coach, a teacher, a nurse, a principal, anybody, right? I mean, whoever they're, like one of your questions said, you know, do you have a trusted adult? And there's a lot of different choices there. So I think giving them the option of who they want to reach out to them is huge.
And we know that a lot of the times the kids are more, you know, want to see their teachers because they're used to their teachers. They see them every day, where we don't get to see the kids every day. So they have a stronger connection with the teachers sometimes too.
Yep.
The only thing about that is if a student need is urgent and the teacher's teaching a classroom, it may be difficult for us to be able to logistically make that happen.
I think that's a good point, but yeah, so we would know, so we could reach out to the student maybe if that came through. And whenever we do this, we'd have everybody everything else gets put aside and everybody's hands on deck to assess the results of the survey. And then for those I need immediate help ones, even if that is a teacher, like you said, it's a good point. That person they're looking for may not be available right away, but one of us would be to, you know, get them down and just kind of see what's going on and hold them until that person was available and help them out. But it's a good point.
Yeah, the other piece to that is that, you know, the teacher's in the teaching mode, and now they're going to be in the mentor or counseling mode. So that may be a difficult transition for a teacher to be put on the spot like that. So in a teacher, could actually say, I'm not ready. They might have like a little self panic and be like, I can't do that right now.
Yeah.
So, we can offer that, but I don't think we can guarantee that.
Right. Yeah, because they might not also be ready, but they might not be even able to counsel a student because of many reasons why they're just not comfortable. Maybe they don't feel educated in counseling. Any sort of reasons. They might be like, I don't know if I can do it. But we'll be there to as safety nets to take the kids.
Yeah. So maybe if we do have that option, it might just be a good idea to contact the teachers beforehand and be like, we're putting this out.
Oh yeah.
Like just so they like know that they could be called upon.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Yeah, I said before that, the last thing we want coming out of the survey is more stress. So I think the more structured, the better.
Yeah.
And one thing I think we all, everybody needs to keep in mind is that although the teachers may look good on the outside, like the students look good on the outside, some of us are not faring too well with this pandemic, just like some of you are not faring that well with this pandemic. So, to ask someone to do that may be very overwhelming and put them in a place where they're not in a good space. But yeah, to give them a heads up and to make sure that the things are in order, those are good ideas.
But don't worry, we're all here to take the kids. So
it's a team approach, and the key is to get a sense of who actually needs the help. And then if it's an emergency, all the counselors, whether we're the person they picked or not, are able to meet with the student to, address whatever that immediate concern is. And then, as a team, we'll get that person connected. And if it's not something that works for that reason, we can say, great, I'm glad you have a great relationship with so-and-so. But, for now, it's just talk things out. So that's the good thing about having so many staff available, teachers, counselors. Like as a team, one of us is going to help,
Yep.
Anything, counselors, anything that you thought of? I know we had looked over it at the survey. Any ideas, thoughts?
One thing I think I did notice, if we could add on, like at the beginning of the survey, just say like, how are you feeling right now in the here and now? If there was any way you guys could add that near the beginning, you don't have to if you don't agree, but a lot of surveys usually start with, how are you feeling right now? And then you put like a list of happy, tired, sad, all different, just at the very beginning. It's just a suggestion. But thank you again for doing that. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And maybe we could do the same question right at the end so we can kind of gauge how people responded to it.
Thank you.
Lauren, you're like a little data analyst over there, knowing like how has this survey impacted a student's feeling?
Post.
Only the best for my peers.
I think it'd also be interesting to see like if we had a question like that right at the beginning of the survey, because for at least the hybrid students, they're taking this like right during the advisory period. So it'd be interesting to see how they feel at the beginning of an in-person school day.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. How do you think people are doing with, it's just a curiosity thing, students, what are they doing to cope with things right now? Like what are their outlets, and do they know healthy outlets? Is there anything that's working for a particular student? Like, hey, I do this and this really helps. Like, I don't know if that even fits into this particular survey or not, but just as a curiosity piece, we have lots of ideas what's healthy, but I'm wondering what students tend to be doing, I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I can tell you a lot of them are out on the track because I run the track every day. And I can tell you, there are a lot of kids out there exercising, and that's a great thing to do. So spread that around. Exercise,
the students feel they have the tools to know. Like, it's one thing we know you're struggling with lots of different, whether it's stress, anxiety, depression, all these different things you could be going through. But are people equipped with healthy ideas on how to tackle it? I guess I don't know how to quantify that or put that into a survey. Is it something we even approach in this type of thing, or I don't know?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure how we would work that in.
Yeah.
But I just kind of based off of what Ms. Healy said, I do think a lot of people are starting to rely on sports like more than we used to, because people are always like, oh, like tough school day, like I have practice later, like that made me happy. But now I feel like people are kind of leaning on it even more as like, this is a constant in my life. This is something I know I'm gonna have, like regardless of what happens in class today or if we go remote, that kind of thing. So just from some people I know, I do know that sports are like being relied on as kind of a stagnant part of their lives.
It might be good if a student does reach out saying that they want support from a trusted adult in the school. It might be good for them to kind of talk about certain habits that can stay in place long term, just because I know with sports, with COVID, it can get shut down any minute. And I think that could take a really negative toll on a lot of people. Just where that is a lot of, that's their outlet, and that's where they go for the social piece and the physical exercise piece. So maybe, providing an opportunity for people to talk about things that can stay in place and be a constant, that might be something to think about.
I think that's a great point, because it's the activity, right? The exercising. Yes, the team's huge and the sports are huge, but it's that point of just getting some exercise. And the other part of the team is what? It's the socializing, right? So it's like, okay, are you, I don't know, are you Zooming, with your teammates, or have what are you getting out of the sports? You're probably getting the socialization, and you're getting that physical outlet of, so those would be long-term, no matter what situation you're in, is to not be, to reach out to people, to be interacting with others, and to stay in shape, get some exercise, so I think that can be applied. As you're talking about this, I'm just wondering, where it doesn't necessarily fit in the survey, whatever day we did the survey, could it be like almost like a follow-up the next 3 or 4 days in advisory? Teachers could share out, we could give teachers information to say, hey, you know what, now that we've done this survey, kind of to follow up the next day, why don't you share some healthy coping skills with your students? So it's not part of the survey itself, and it's not really intervening with that, but it's kind of a follow-up to address it. I don't know if that makes
sense.
And
we can give them lots of healthy ideas, trust me.
Yeah.
I'll make up a list of different things they can do for healthy habits.
I think it'd even be good to maybe just have a quick question on the survey that says, like, what has allowed you to sort of is it cope, or what has been sort of a positive outlet for you during the pandemic? And you can just maybe have like physical activity, like just writing, or some type of give them a few choices, and like obviously like an other slot if they want to write something else. That could be possibly a way to incorporate that into the survey.
That's a great idea.
As far as the 3 students, Alyssa, Lauren, and Anthony, are you aware that we're running with Mrs. Burns, Mr. Branco, and Miss Gordon, the groups for stress and anxiety, college, and healthy habits to replace substance choices? And do you think that your classmates are aware, or you 3 are very tuned into the high school, but some of your peers, would you say that a small percentage of like 50%, a large percentage of students are aware of those?
I know for me personally, I'm actually in I think it's the Healthy Habits one of the ones with Mrs. Burns. It's great. I really like it. I think, being aware of it is one piece, but then actually participating in it is another, just because, not only the stigma, but also, who's going to be there. It's just a lot. It's, I think it's unfamiliar for a lot of people. But I think most people are aware. I'm not sure, Alyssa and Anthony, what you guys think, but I mean, I would definitely recommend joining it. It's great.
I agree with Lauren. I'm not like exactly sure how many people are aware, but I do know that I've heard about it like on multiple occasions from multiple like people, sources, however you'd like to phrase it. So I do think that there's a good chance that a decent portion of the student body knows about them. That being said, I'm not sure how many people participate in them, like Lauren said as well.
Yeah, I think the feedback we're getting is that the students that are participating are somewhat, they're getting a lot out of it and they're pleased with it, and they've had a lot of positive feedback. So the numbers have been fairly low percentage wise, I think, participation wise, but the ones that are. So I don't know, maybe this is something that would get traction with students promoting it themselves. You know what I mean? It's like we can shoot out emails all we want, and yeah, that's great, but what if it's like a word of mouth type of thing, or if it's phrased as, you bring a friend, like, you know what I mean? Whereas, because you're right, that part of that stigma or the going into something like that by yourself, not knowing what you expect, if you bring somebody with you, even, it's just that extra comfort level, and who knows, that could help grow these groups, because we feel like the need is there and the demand is there for these services. It's, yeah, you're right. It's the promotion, but also getting that next step to get you to actually want to participate. So maybe down the road, if there's any way we could get your help to help thoughts on how to encourage participation, that would be awesome. That'd be amazing.
Do a little bring a friend to group day for all those who are already connected, and then even if they don't need it, right, they might then become more familiar with the format and what it looks like, and maybe they decide it's something they want to be a part of, whether they thought they needed it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that, that's one of the reasons why we're doing this survey is, not only gauge where everyone's at, but also to find how to implement supports, and also, what we need to change, because who knows if we're going to be, if school will be like this next year for the rest of the year. And so I think that, distributing this survey, it's going to have a lot of benefits to it.
Definitely. What do you
I have to run. I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you, though.
All right, we'll see you.
Okay, bye.
Did you have anything in mind as far as dates, or what's going on with the youth council? Are they kind of directing, or are you deciding when, or where does that stand when you do this?
Well, I know the youth risk behavior survey is in April, right? It's like early April. So I don't think we should wait that long, just so it's not like two surveys back to back, because the last thing we want is for people to say, I just took a survey, like I'm not going to actually give a good response to the youth risk behavior survey, because that would be terrible if that's what happened. So I think the sooner we can distribute it, the better, but I don't want to compromise preparedness with that. So if we need to meet somewhere in the middle, I think that's completely reasonable.
Is this something where when you say, okay, we're ready to go, this is it, are you the ones making the call with, okay, we're going to do it XYZ? Is there someone else that's directing you when you should or can, or is just when you're ready, you can go?
It's essentially us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I would love to get this out. The sooner the better. Again, not to just rush it if we want to tweak things or, do it carefully, but I agree with the sooner the better.
Yeah, I think something that we've learned, within the youth council, and also, within ourselves, that this is a very relevant issue. So I agree that the sooner the better. We want to take our time with it and be thorough and make it, exceed the fullest potential that it has. But I definitely think the sooner the better, just because it's such a relevant issue.
Yeah.
If we could
so
do
I
this,
can get like
Brad,
final.
Alyssa,
Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
I can get final like versions of the survey sent to you, Mr. Robinson, by the middle of next week, like at the latest. I can have
Alright.
them like final fill out links sent to you.
Okay. And then we could do some promoting and sharing with, get teachers a heads up,
Yes.
staff a heads up. I don't know that, do we do a, we talked about like the opt out, not opt out, but the type of thing with the families.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, it would stay Thursday already. I'm not
Yeah.
complaining, it's already Thursday. I wonder if the weekend email that, Mrs. McLeod sends out, could include like a heads up.
Yeah,
Or we
that's
should do
what
a
I was
separate-
just about to say. I think it would be
Yeah.
good to include in there. Like, I'm not sure how many parents read it, but I know probably a decent amount get it. So,
Yeah.
like, even if they just see the little headline at the top, they know it's coming. So if their kid comes home and is like, we had to do a survey today, they're not like, what the heck is this survey? Why didn't I know about this? Because that's also the last thing we want. We don't want angry parents. That'd be pretty bad.
We don't need any flack on the Wakefield community group on Facebook.
No,
so
not
the
at all.
sooner the better.
Ideally, it would be the week right after grades close, which would be a week after next Friday, because everybody will be wrapping up chapters, starting a new unit. The teachers will be involved in correcting a lot of material, so there won't be a lot of new material getting put out there. So that would be, if it had to be 2 weeks after it closed, but ideally thinking about the teachers, if we were having this conversation last week and we were planning to have this next week, the teachers would be up in arms because it's the last week of the term. So the timing of this is perfect. We're going to be at the beginning of third term. I think that teachers would, even if it ate up a couple extra minutes of the class, that would be okay, because it gives them more time to correct and do the things that they need to do to get grades closed.
So that brings up a great point as far as, so if we did it, say, on that Tuesday, then the Ada L or Ada K, they'll be in taking it, but the others will be asynchronous.
Correct.
So we're going to run this twice,
right?
Like a Tuesday, Thursday kind of thing?
Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday, Monday, Thursday, or
Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday.
Actually, it might be better if we
like an A versus D versus A twice kind of thing, or
yeah.
Yeah, because if you're an A block teacher, we do Monday, Thursday, we just, and again, it's not, I mean, we probably should do one of each. So if we did a Monday, do a Friday. If we do maybe a Tuesday, Thursday, because that would be the two different blocks.
Yep.
The only obviously it's up to the staff, but the only hesitation that I have with doing two different ones is the support time, because I'm not sure, if we did it, I'm just looking at my calendar, if we did it say Tuesday and Friday, that wouldn't give a lot of time for students who need support immediately to get it. And especially with cohort B on Friday, going home for the weekend, that just, I don't know, that could be tricky.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. So I think if it's not too unreasonable, I think a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, excuse me, would probably be the most beneficial. So that way there's not a lot of chaos around getting student support and then being we're not going to see them for almost a whole nother week. How are we going to make sure they're going to be okay after this stressful day that obviously caused them a lot of anxiety.
So I definitely agree with not doing it on Friday 100%. So the Thursday would be best for cohort B. Does Monday, is Tuesday, is it because Wednesday's the synchronous day? I mean, is Tuesday gives you the whole week still, but they're not going to be in. So it is kind of like a Friday for cohort A kids, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're taking up I mean, the goal is basically, right, it is the advisory time. So it's not like we're taking up A block's class time twice. I mean, it's really their advisory twice. So I think it's more important the timing than it is trying to balance out which blocks get maybe a minute if into their class taken up. So okay.
And
So would you want to, looking at a calendar, do you think that 1st and 4th that week? Because otherwise you're looking at the week after would be the 8th and 11th.
I think as long as it's not like too much to put on the teachers, like right after grades close or whatever, I think the 1st and the 4th would be pretty good. So we can have it, we can look at all the results, and we can try and start putting together, like, this is what needs to be done. This is an area that needs a little like extra attention or something like that sooner rather than later, especially if we want to try and address things in this school year, since it is already essentially halfway over.
True.
Which is crazy.
I think the 1st and the 4th are probably the best because, if, for some reason we had to go remote for a week, we still have a week before February vacation to be able to get this out and get the results.
Yes, that's also something we need to keep in mind.
I think that plan matches the let's do it as soon as possible, but not just throwing it out there tomorrow kind of feel, and gives us another, it gives you till next Wednesday, like you said, to finalize it. And then maybe we could meet, I don't know, like a Wednesday after, either Wednesday or Thursday of next week. You know what I mean? To just Zoom real quick, just to kind of go over details, and we can think of things that we can do on our end between now and then, like prep a announcement out to staff. I could put together a clip from Ms. McLeod to include on, so we can do stuff on our end, I guess is what I'm saying. And then maybe meet up again. What do you think, Wednesday or Thursday next week? Or we could always email between now and then too. So it's not like we can't work on things.
Yeah, okay, so I know
it's
we have.
It's end of your term too. So.
Yeah, well, it's just we have a bunch of meetings next week, not like specifically for this. We have, and just like with agendas and stuff.
Can we just do a lot of this? Is it so the time is not going to work, or just it's not convenient for us?
I'm just trying to think of the times. Lauren and Anthony, and you guys too, obviously. Would the same time next Thursday work? Like 1 o'clock?
Yeah, I was thinking Thursday because Wednesday, the 3 of us, we have Tri-M, and then we might be meeting with Ann Santos. And then Thursday, the only thing that we have for youth council is the focus group. Full time for youth council. So I think Thursday would probably work for the majority of us, if that works for Anthony.
That works for me too, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Does that work for you guys as well? No meetings or anything?
Definitely works for me.
Okay.
Yep. Awesome.
All right. So I will probably have that link soon, and I will get that out to you guys.
Okay.
As soon as possible.
I think we have an email chain kind of going along anyway, right? So we can all
Yes.
get the old reply all, make sure we're on the same page, and
yes.
Anything comes up and say, oh geez, we need this, we need that, don't hesitate.
Thank you guys for taking the time to do this. I was saying earlier.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. This is huge.
Support that we have.
Yeah.
Putting the survey together and you did a lot of the legwork that
all of it.
that's the hard part. Thank you.
So impressed.
Yeah. And I've said it before, but it's anything that's initiated or run by students for students is, I don't know. It's the best things that happen. Is if you look at the best things, it's students came up with that, or students created that, and they did that with other students, and it's not to minimize adults. I know we're extremely helpful to kids, but some of these bigger successful projects tend to be that. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Well, then we'll be emailing back and forth, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Have a good day.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Good to see you all. Bye.
Oh,
That
Anthony's gone too. Anthony.
We didn't need to adjourn the meeting.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with how that went.
Yes. Okay. I think we probably technically need to adjourn, but there's
Yeah,
only
probably.
2 of us. You want a motion?
I motion and I second the motion.
A second. I think I can second. I don't know.
I don't know. Who knows?
I vote yes. What do you vote, Lauren?
I vote yes as well.
Okay. The
Thank you
meeting
again
is
for doing
adjourned.